U3A stands for University of the Third Age. The first age is when you're a child. The second age is when you're bringing up a family or working. And the third age is when you're no longer in full-time employment and finally have time to pursue things that interest you.
I don't know what I would have done if I hadn't discovered U3A. With all the people I've met, we cannot sit at home.
When the chance came to get out and do something different, then I needed to, and I did. And it's the best thing I ever did. It's changed my life.
There is no competition. There is no exam culture. We've all got life skills. We can share them.
Door.
When I left work, I thought retirement was going to be just wonderful. Sit around and read books and have all the time in the world. Well, that lasted for a while, but not very long. I realized I needed to be active and continue to learn. I had arrived here 40 years ago and had been very busy and active in my career, but now it was time to go into the next phase, and I found U3A. And that's what made a difference in my life. U3A is a different kind of university. It's about people coming together to experience learning. Anyone can join U3A. We don't have an upper or lower age limit, but basically it's people that are no longer in full-time employment so that they can join our interest groups and our study groups that are held during the day. Barnet member Sue Pfeiffer started out with a curiosity about her family history, and now she's a published author.
Barnet U3A in Greater London is a thriving group. Its members have been busy setting up a wide array of activities.
I was saying to someone today that I don't know what I would have done if I hadn't discovered U3A. I find this, with all the people I've met, we cannot sit at home. I think there must be some sort of fear that we might end up in our dressing gowns watching daytime television or something.
I always enjoyed what I was doing in work, but I knew there were lots of things that I wanted to do. So when the opportunity came up, I took early retirement, and one of the things I wanted to do was join U3A.
Susan took up quilting, table tennis and mahjong and joined a book group. But she is also a self-taught genealogist and author of a U3A guide to researching family history.
Actually, I came into family history quite a strange way. I'd always been really interested in computers, and I saw a family tree programme and I thought, oh, my mother had dozens of cousins. I'll bring this home and have a go. And unfortunately, like a lot of hobbies, once you get into it, it becomes a lifelong obsession.
Susan has been piecing together her family's past.
These are photographs that belong to my grandmother. I have a note here, it just says, could this be Miriam Pfeiffer, the sister of Joe and Dave? And what I've only found recently is I've got a copy of the 1911 census for another family in London, and she is living with them as an apprentice dressmaker. So, like a jigsaw puzzle, you make yourself a note and you'll find the missing piece later.
Sue wanted to share her new skills and set up Barnet U3A's first family history group. That's how Ruth got started.
When I joined Sue's class originally last year, I thought it was very interesting, but I didn't really get going. And then Sue and I met up and she gave me a kick. And I then was encouraged, and I then did a bit more research and found valuable information. My grandmother, who apparently was 12 when she came to this country, was the oldest of 8, and there were her 7 other siblings. And the youngest at that point was 2½, and he was born in London, but the rest were born in the Ukraine. It all came to life, you know, and it makes you want to go on and on, you know.
That's what makes it interesting, because family history is not just about the pedigree. So it's not just the names and the dates. It's not about pedigree, dogs and horses. This is about how people lived and how ordinary people lived.
For the Barnet members, as in all groups, U3A is all about leadership from the bottom up.
There's a wonderful woman. She was a new member. Within a month, she'd started her own group. And that's not an isolated example. There are lots of people who come in and just do it.
What I like is that this is all almost below the government radar. So U3A, as far as I'm aware, doesn't get funding from government. Therefore, in a way, it's not subject to the same cuts. And it's quite cheap to run because we meet in each other's houses and, where possible, we teach each other, unless it happens to be something that needs a specialist teacher, like one or two things do.
Susan's most recent group came about after a chance encounter.
6 weeks ago, I was walking past a music shop and I saw a ukulele in the window and I thought, like you do, I want one of those. Went in and bought one. When I came home, I thought, well, I could either have lessons paid for or I could buy a book. And then I thought, hang on, I'm a member of U3A. I'll put a note in the bulletin and see if anybody else wants to learn.
It turns out that Barnet has quite a few budding ukulele players. Having chosen one member as musical director, they're learning chord by chord. It's so popular that people are queuing up to join.
The group is already full, and I now have somebody who says she can host a second group if we get enough people. So, despite everybody laughing, we've got a group going, and it's really fun.
There's something about the ukulele. It spread like wildfire, and I've been bitten by the bug myself. That's the thing about U3A. It's what the members make it. Anyone can start a new study group, and you never know what somebody's going to come up with. I've even surprised myself sometimes. The Olympics came up, and I thought there was a lot that I didn't know about the Olympics, and here it was in our own country. And it was going to be exciting, so I thought, well, I'd like to learn more about it. Now, I could have done that on my own, but that wouldn't have been much fun, so I asked the people in my U3A if anybody else was interested. And sure enough, there were 15 others that decided to have a short course on what the Olympics were all about, the history, all the activities that took place. We had a ball. So how does U3A work? Study groups are part of a local U3A, which is operationally independent and run by volunteers. There is a subscription. In my case, my U3A charges £25, but each U3A charges a different amount. And for that, you can go to all of the 100 study groups that we have. There are some other charges occasionally if you decide that you want to go on one of the theater trips. And we have various outings to all parts of the country, actually. So you make that decision whether you want to do these extra things. Most U3As do not meet in a grand building such as this one. Often study groups will rent a church hall or perhaps a room in the library, or they'll meet in somebody's home. For example, my American history and music appreciation groups meet in my house. In our next film, we're off to Pembrokeshire in Wales. Joe Riley found U3A a lifeline after retiring.
I've always had a fatal attraction for boats and the sea and water. There's a huge range of skills to be gained: meteorology, navigation, the sailing techniques. Whilst I was working, it served an even more important function. It was a stress buster. The construction site manager on fairly major projects is a very pressurised job.
Joe Riley's career in construction, his family and interests outside work had always kept him busy. But when he was 59, he had to retire suddenly on health grounds.
I didn't get any time to plan my retirement. It happened. But mentally I was ready for it.
Joe and his wife Margaret wanted to move to a beautiful and remote place. They found it in Pembrokeshire, Wales. Once they had settled in, Joe and Margaret joined their local U3A. They've never looked back.
We're involved in a natural history group, we're involved in photography, we're involved in drama, we're involved in the French group. It's been fantastic. You know, for us it's been an immediate introduction to a community.
In a place where your closest friend might live 20 miles away, you need a get-up-and-go attitude.
The kind of people that join the U3A are all people who have got an outgoing frame of mind. Most of them are inquisitive. There is no competition. There is no exam culture. We've all got life skills. We can share them.
Joe decided to share his passion for French with like-minded learners.
Bonjour Caroline, ça va?
Bonjour, ça va et vous?
Oui.
Je suis bien.
Nous commençons, évidemment.
Oh, je suis tard. Les jugeons.
Once a month they meet at one of their homes for conversation and cakes.
Qui avait fait le gâteau?
Oh là là, look at that.
C'est les madeleines.
Yes.
Oh,
Avec
La Madeleine.
qu'est-ce que c'est ça?
the cerise.
Cerise.
The cerise. That's one of these ones where the accent's very important. Cerise.
Cerise.
Cerise classic. My French would appall any teacher. They would cringe.
In Joe's group, it's okay to make mistakes.
C'est un petit cuillère. It doesn't matter if it's wrong. It doesn't matter if you put in 7 English words and 3 French words. What does matter is that you speak. Le teapot. In no way am I a teacher. What I am is a leader. I can lead people through a course. Those that don't have confidence, I can give loads of encouragement to. Okay, are you ready then?
Joe leads another U3A group, sharing his DIY skills. This group came about after a member's request for help with home maintenance. Everyone agrees it's been worth their while.
When I went on Joe's course, it gave me confidence to know when I could tackle a job and when I should get someone else in.
Which was really useful, because I feel now that I will not be ripped off by any rogue trader.
I can drill a plasterboard and I can put in a door.
Okay, now, there. That's it. That's excellent. Now just watch the joint on that side.
Leading activities and joining in other interest groups is keeping Joe active. Like many of Pembrokeshire's 800 U3A members, he's simply too busy to get bored.
Since I've retired, I did expect that life would slow down a little bit, but your personality doesn't slow down. And after joining the U3A, it's been a tremendous fulfilment, so much so I cannot answer a question of an invitation to dinner unless I have my diary in front of me. Life is very full.
That film's a perfect example of what people get out of U3A. It's not just about learning a new skill or an interest, it's about personal growth. Time and time again, I've seen people come into a study group and sit in the corner and perhaps not say a word for a whole year, and then all of a sudden they blossom. Einstein had a wonderful quote on what education was all about, and he stated that basically learning was all about experience, and all the rest was just information. And that's what we offer people, a learning experience. The bonds of friendship that are created in a study group are really strong. In this next film, you'll see a group of women who are inspiring each other and creating something new.
Stocksbridge, near Sheffield, used to be a farming valley. Until the 19th century, when the steelworks were built. With them came an influx of newcomers.
All the population were brought in from outside to work in the steel mill, and so they were all strangers, and they all gelled together and made a community, and it stayed like that.
Carolyn Caswell's very first job was at the steelworks.
When you left school from the local school, you went down for an interview. If you passed the interview, you went to work in the office, and if you didn't, you went to work in the mill. And I was lucky I got in the office.
She and Marie Coultas have known each other all their lives. Their friend Beryl Sharp moved to Stocksbridge after she retired.
My eldest daughter was born in Sheffield. Then the other daughter's husband moved up here, and I thought I might as well move up to Stocksbridge, which I've always liked. And here I am.
Beryl wanted to find fun things to do that didn't involve a 12-mile trek to Sheffield.
There are loads of bright, sparky people here in Stocksbridge who do all sorts of things. And I thought, well, let's see what we can create here.
When Sheffield U3A ran an information session in Stocksbridge, Beryl went along.
They said, well, perhaps we'd write wish lists of what things we'd like to happen.
The new U3A activities in Stocksbridge include Tai Chi, digital photography classes and a walking group. Beryl wanted to set up a belly dancing class.
I knew belly dancers, so I got in touch with people and asked U3A to fund a taster session.
The class was immediately popular.
I've always liked any kind of ethnic dancing. As soon as I heard some of the music, I was on my feet.
It stretches you. You need something to stretch you, especially as you get older, because you get very complacent.
A lot of us aren't good dancers, but we enjoy taking part, and then we enjoy the music and
the rhythm.
Yeah, the rhythm.
It's rather nice getting things going, and if people are happy and doing something they want to do, isn't that a huge pleasure?
Belly dancing is a gentle way to work out. After an operation, Carolyn had been unable to do much exercise.
It's the best thing I ever did. It's changed my life. My husband says he's married to a different woman.
It's just been so amazing to see her become a happy person, to see her relax and enjoy what she's doing, and for it to be such fun and such a huge success. It's marvellous, isn't it? It's a lovely thing.
Great.
Yeah. I mean, if you can start a group and do that for people, wow.
Yeah.
That's all I say.
Yeah.
And with U3A, there's always scope for new ideas.
Don't you think this belly dance bit and the Tai Chi, it's leading us onwards and outwards. It's confidence somehow.
Yes,
it's
definitely.
feeling comfortable.
Yes.
Perhaps
What can we do
we
next?
can start something else. I'm sure we'll come up with some good ideas.
Most U3As have a monthly meeting. It's a wonderful occasion. It's usually in a big hall because we all join together and we have a chance to socialize. But we also have a chance to find out what's coming up in this next month. And then at the end of it, we usually have a speaker. Around the UK, there are 870 U3As with around 300,000 members. We're not party political, but we were honored to be invited to the House of Lords for a big debate which was intergenerational. In our next film, you will see two extraordinary people putting together a supportive, warm, welcoming U3A community.
Haringey in North London is home to a multicultural community. Alison and Ernest Nunes have lived here for almost 50 years. But it was in Jamaica that they first met and fell in love.
I remember that day, lovely lady in her blue dress, and there she was reading a book in the corner somewhere. So I made my way over and tried to borrow the book from her, but that was only a chat-up line.
And the rest is history.
Yes, we were married 1 year after.
In the 1960s, Ernest and Alison came to Britain. They found a cold and unwelcoming climate.
With all this fog and everything, it was a nightmare for me. If I had a return fare, I would have gone back.
There was no community for us when we came here. The country had just begun to pick itself properly up after the war. For the immigrants coming, you made your own community with each other.
Creating a sense of togetherness and community spirit is Ernest and Alison's special talent. And once they had retired, this husband and wife team founded Haringey U3A. During Black History Month, Ernest and Alison put on a quiz.
Which famous cook was resident chef in Reddy's Teddy Cook? Was it Ainsley Harriott, Levi Ruth, or Rusty Lee? A is the answer. No, pack up the class for you.
Going on U3A trips has given the group plenty of memories to share.
Because he's supposed to wipe the area before you sit.
We saw so many different places.
And when we had that cable car ride, it was a lovely view.
Yeah.
I mean, when you think of it, we did quite a lot in those couple of days.
That's when we went to Kew Gardens. Remember the first trip we took? For myself, I get enjoyment out of it, out of doing it. And taking part in the activities, I'm always open to learning something different. I'd like to think I'm doing it for a purpose, to get others involved. And they have skills that they can offer to others.
Alison's work to create a community and forge a sense of togetherness has borne fruit.
It's made me much more confident.
You exchange your knowledge with others. You teach me and I teach you.
It's great. It is good fun.
You're able to exercise whatever ambition you want to fulfill.
There's no shortage of ambition in Haringey U3A, with a long list of activities to choose from.
The groups are poetry reading, there's a walking group, craft, sewing, knitting, crochet. There's an art group where people do watercoloring. Music, people learn to play the piano. Comparative religion discussion. Ernie leads a gardening group.
When we are in Jamaica, we don't do anything like this. But our grandparents would do it, you know? So it keeps us mind ticking over.
Keeping active and learning together, that's what it's all about. I'm really impressed by Alison and Ernest and how they are shaping their local U3A. So if you have an interest you'd like to share, it's very simple. You can call or look for our U3A on our website. I hope you'll join us.